All right, guys. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate you guys moving up. Sorry, guys. Could I just get your attention, please? Thank you very much. So my name is Victor. I'm talking today to you guys about Vim. And hopefully you guys appreciate memes, because there'll be a fair few of those ones. But jumping straight into it, about me, I'm in my 5th year. I study engineering, space mechatronics, science with physics and comp sci. Don't do those. It's too much. There's my email. I interned at Optiver and Atlassian as software developers. I tutor 110, NJ210, Tron 1705, in case you guys may have seen those around. And languages, not too important, Python, like web dev, C, and then Java and assembly. I would like to not touch if possible. But other than that, feel free to ask me anything that you guys would like to. My email's up there, or you guys can chat with me afterwards as well. So very quickly, just passing through this very quickly. The schedule tonight, we're just going to do like what is Vim, why use Vim, the crash course, some tips, TMUX, quality of life, caveats, and then closing. So a very high-level overview of what we're going to be talking about today. So jumping right into it, what is Vim? Well, simply put, it's a text editor, and it edits anything that's stored as raw text. For example, text files, CSV files, Markdown, source code, which is what we're all here for, I hope, LaTeX, and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? But really, what is a text file? It is a file that just has raw text. So letters, numbers, and symbols, nothing else. No images, no groupings, no coloring, nothing like that of sort, right? And the counterpart to this is usually binary files, right? So what are those? Here I have Microsoft Word, and I just have hello, and I save the file, and I try to open it in VS Code. And you can see there that it's completely garbled, right? Garbage. You can't read it. And that's because it's stored in its own binary format. It's compacted down, but it has their own special format so that essentially we can't read it unless we use the program. And this is not text files. So why should we learn to edit text files when we have better software like Microsoft Office, Word, Photoshop, Premiere? Those all save their stuff as binary, right? So why should we edit text files? Well, first of all, text files, they will never disappear, because they're fully standardized across the world. All our phones, our watches, our laptops, everything is using some sort of plain text system. And it's also viewable and editable by any format-abiding editor. Whereas, binary files, they regularly change versions, formats, styles, and contents. They hide away your actual content so you can't actually see it. You're at the mercy of the software provider. So if Microsoft Office 2021 comes out, well, tough luck, maybe 2001 won't open anymore. But that's not to say that binary files are bad. All that proprietary software is bad. They have their place and time. So what is Vim? Text editor. And it's essentially the same as all of these things: Notepad, VS Code, Atom, IntelliJ, Eclipse, Emacs, Sublime, and Notepad++. And of course, a bunch more. So the next logical question is, why should I use Vim, right? So I have a set of demos, which I'd like you guys to watch and see. And hopefully, you guys can come to appreciate Vim just as much as I do. So let me open up one.txt, one.text. And here I have a very simple file, right? I have a very simple operation. All I want to do is delete the spaces. Oh, sorry, I should also turn on my little thing so you guys can see my keystrokes. Yeah, there we go, on the bottom right. All I want to do is I press backspace, down, down, backspace, down, down, backspace, down, down, backspace, down, down. And if there were 1,000 entries, I'd be here for 1,000 years. And that's not what we're here for, right? So I'll show you guys this. I can start recording some keystrokes. I can go down, I can delete, and I can save. And if there's 9 more, I repeat that 9 times. And let's go to the second file, the second demo. Oops, sorry. So I have a set of unikeys, and these are randomly generated. Don't try to email them. You're not going to get a reply. All I want to do is at uni.sydney.edu.au. And in VS Code, you would have to, copy that. And if you're smart, you do like this kind of a thing, a down Control V, down Control V. And if you had 1,000 rows, you'd be here for 1,000 years, and that's not what we want to be here for, right? So how would you do that in here? Well, you can record your keystrokes, type it once, exit, go back, go down, save that, and repeat that. How many more times? I have 18 or 17 more. 17 at Q, bam, 2 more. Bam. So if I have 1,000 rows, I'll be here for just 10 seconds. Yeah? Let's go to number 3. So those are both fairly trivial, fairly straightforward. All right, all right. What else can Vim do? Well, now, this is no longer trivial. what we want to do is, this is a JSON file, which if you don't know, don't worry, it's all good. Essentially, I just want to chuck a quote here, and a quote here, and a quote here, and a quote here, and a quote here. You guys can see what's going to happen, right? We're literally going to be here for 1,000 years if we keep doing this. What can Vim do for us? I start saving my keystrokes, or recording my keystrokes. I add the quotes. I do the same. I go down to the next one, and I save. I do that 10 more times, or 2 more times as I need. Bam. So that was non-trivial anymore, right? You can't simply, go down and, Control V, Control V, Control V, right? Well, let's go to the next one. Number 4. This is a similar one, but just as tedious. This is copy-pasted from a word generator online, and this was used to generate some passwords for assessments. Don't worry, I will change these passwords later, so feel free to download and play around with this. I just want to surround it with quotes and add a comma, so it's valid syntax in code, right? And of course, if there were 1,000 lines, I'd be here for 1,000 years. I can start recording, I can surround it with a quote, I can add to the end, I can go down, go back to the front, and save that. And if I have, 47 lines, so line 3 maybe about 40 times, bam, and 4 more times. So hopefully you guys are getting the gist of it, right? The power of Vim is do something once and play it back many, many times. Now here is a little snippet of a CSV file. This was my bank statement, and I just deleted all the entries apart from Uber Eats because I spent too much money on there. Don't go down there if you haven't already. But I want to do a very simple piece of processing for my CSV files, for my tax returns, right? Essentially, inside the description here, if it says Uber, right? I want to replace all of that and say, including the reference date, because I don't need the date. Oh, crap, sorry. And this is another reason why I use Vim later on. I just wanted to say Uber Eats. And imagine if there was a whole bunch of other text as well, right, in the middle here. I just deleted it for our purposes here. But you have to select that and paste it, and that would take a long time. Well, I can start recording, search for Uber, go back to the first comma. Oops, let's do that again. Start recording, search for Uber, go back to the first comma, change to the next comma, type Uber Eats, save that, and 5 at Q. Paste that 5 times. I can paste it as many times as I need to now. And of course, I can spam that, right? How good is that? And you guys get the gist, right? What about the last one? Oh, that was the last one. So hopefully that sort of got, a feeling of why you should use Vim. But if that's not enough for you guys, well, this one sparks joy. This one did not spark joy for all the reasons. This one here, the Emacs one, right, is a bit special. This one can actually do all those things as well, but it's on its own little universe out there, and we can discuss it later if you guys are interested during the Q&A or pizza. But essentially, Vim is so great. Hopefully you guys can see why. But if you're not convinced enough, here are some more reasons why you guys should use Vim. First of all, it's keyboard only. As you guys could see, I didn't use the mouse at all. And consequently, coding on laptops becomes so much easier. Secondly, my hands don't hurt. And my hands are pretty important to me as a full-time programmer, essentially, once I go into the workforce. If my hands hurt, I'll lose my job. If I lose my job, I lose my home. If I lose my home, I lose my girlfriend, and that's not good. Because anyways, that aside, my hands not hurting is fairly important to me, Next, it also works on all text-based files, right? So no matter what kind of text file you have, CSV and Markdown, LaTeX, whatever you need, Vim will work for it. And that, in fact, I do all of my work on Vim pretty much. And it saves you years per day, as hopefully you guys have seen. And lastly, this last one's a good point, permeates through the fabric of space and time. And that is because on almost every single Unix machine, whether it be Mac, whether it be a web server, whether it be your Raspberry Pi, whether it be your smartwatch or something, it will have Vim installed already. It comes installed, literally. All you have to do is log on, just type VIM, bam, you'll be in Vim. It's so good. So it's everywhere, essentially, except for Windows. And in fact, this is a screenshot of my phone. This is me connecting into my Raspberry Pi at home from uni this morning. I took the screenshot this morning. And this is the Vim editor. You can see I have some text over here. That's the editor. I can type my stuff. It's everywhere. It's so good. If something goes wrong, I just check in on my phone and I can give it a restart. So hopefully you guys are pumped and excited to learn Vim. Let's get started. That's all you have to know. Just look at that, memorize it. Thank you guys for coming. Have a good night. No, I'm just joking. So this in fact leads me to my next point. You guys can see it's so compact, right? There's so much stuff in it. And the Vim learning curve is real. It hurts so much to learn. I remember when I was starting out, it took me forever to climb that cliff. And until you climb that cliff, you're virtually useless, right? It feels so bad. It's like typing out 2 words per minute again. But with the power that you learn, with the stuff that you learn, you will eventually get there. So the goal tonight, right, is not to get you guys to like my level programming or like super comfortable with it. It's rather just to get a taste of them, right? So that you guys can go on, explore, do some Googling, and hopefully, get more into it later. So how to get the most out of this talk, in my opinion, you guys can do whatever you want, but this is what I would suggest. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. The goal here is to give you guys exposure, to let you guys know what is out there. Feel free to download these slides afterwards and try it out on your own. In fact, all of my demo files are all on GitHub as well, so I'll chuck the link at the end. Taking notes or following along, like live typing it, is fine, but it'll drain you very quickly. You'll also miss what's important that I'm actually talking about, so I would advise against that. So let's actually get started now, hopefully. What's the next slide? Yeah, okay, cool. Easy. So let me open up Vim tutorial part1.md, and guess what? I wrote this file in Vim as well. So good. Let me just zoom in a bit more for you guys. Great. So first of all, how do you open and close Vim? So not knowing how to close Vim is like one of the most iconic questions that students get, right? Essentially, from normal mode, you can actually see the modes down the bottom here, right? There's normal mode. In there, you just type :Q and press enter. And that is because I have some unchanged stuff. Sorry, let me just quit everything. There we go, Vim tutorial part 1. Great, so once I go in, :Q, and I exit. Okay, so that's very straightforward. That's lesson 1. Bam, you guys already witnessed. Lesson 2, HJKL. So how do you move around? You guys would have noticed if you looked at the little keystroke thing. I'm just pressing HJKL. That's how I move around, yeah? Of course, you guys have these arrow keys as well. But one thing to note, right? If you guys have the keyboard, HJKL is right on my fingertips, right? The arrow keys are there. Doing that every single time I need to just move around, it's going to hurt my hands. It's going to lose my job, lose my house, lose my girlfriend. You guys get the point, right? So you want to avoid movement, right? You want to have everything at the tip of your fingertips, right? So do not use your arrow keys if you can help it. And in fact, that's the next slide. If you use your arrow keys, you'll get banished from things. So don't use your arrow keys. Just learn HJKL. It's very awkward at first, but you'll get the hang of it so quickly. It's very easy. So you just move around. It feels so good. Okay, that's lesson 2 done. Very easy. Insert mode. Well, so far you guys have seen me typing some stuff. How to actually type text, right? Well, as I alluded to earlier, we have the normal mode, right? And essentially we need to enter insert mode. So we press the I letter to enter insert mode. So for example, let's say I just want to make the first line the same with the bottom line. So I just position my cursor there, press I, and you'll see that we're now in insert mode. So now whatever I type is actually going to come out onto the screen. Okay, so sum, and then I can L over MISSING. I'm missing from, this, and line. Yeah. So how do you actually exit insert mode? You can press escape or Control-C or Control bracket. I don't know why anyone in their good mind would do that, but that's a shortcut. But I usually hit Control-C. Okay. So that's how you exit back into normal mode, and then my HJK was back to my normal stuff. Yeah. So you guys can already see why is Vim already so good, because the same key has different purposes depending on the mode, right? And in fact, there's 3 different modes, so you get 3 times the output of your keyboard. That's already one reason why Vim is better. So how do you save your changes? Well, to save your file, you just type something in, you press escape back to normal mode, and instead of :Q, which you can see at the bottom left there, you just type :W. That will write your file if you press enter, but I don't want to adjust this file, so I'm just going to not do that. But :W, and you save the file, and that's it. Okay, very nice. And again, this is not so you guys can remember it. Don't memorize this. Just play around with it afterwards if you guys are interested, yeah? Basic word movement. Well, by this point, hopefully, if you guys have played around, H and L, they're a bit slow to you now because we want to go fast, right? That's the point of Vim, right? So you can move words at a time now by pressing W, or go backwards at a time by pressing B. So press W to go forward, go back, press B to go backwards. That's all it is. And you can press and hold and it goes across the line. And you'll be flying across the screen. Yeah? That's all it is, W and B. Next one, how do you delete characters? Oops, this should be broken a bit so I can demonstrate that. There we go. So hover over the letter and just press X. Press X, press X, delete. If you want to delete the whole line, like a bad joke like this, you press D twice, D, D, and it deletes the whole line at a time. D, 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 D. And if you spam that, you can delete your whole file. But of course, you can undo that very easily as well, just by pressing and holding U, which we'll get to in a bit. So Vim is so good. Next one. You guys are getting the theme of it, yeah? Undo and redo. Unlike Control-Z and Control-Shift-Z, we have the U and the Control-R. each one of these, they save a keystroke. Not only that though, U stands for undo, Control R stands for redo. That makes perfect sense. Why is it not R? Because R means replace. So if I'm on the V, I press R and 1, it replaces it. So R means replace. Anyways, the idea here is that it's very short and it's very memorable. So U and R, and that's it. So, yeah, these shortcuts make sense. We'll save you a few keystrokes. Happy hands, happy girlfriend. Don't ignore that. So, as you guys can see, if I mess it up, I just press U, and it comes all the way back. If I make some changes, I press U and I come straight back. It's so good. Yank and paste. Well, what if you want to copy paste now? Well, what we can do is on the line, anywhere on the line, just press Y twice, and it looks like nothing's changed, but you've done something called a yank. So instead of copy, Vim calls it yank, and to paste, you just press P. P. If I delete a line, let's say I delete this one, and I move my cursor down, it actually, the deletion will yank it into your register, so you can paste it. It's so good. And you just press U, and it all goes away. Undo your failures and mistakes, and everything else that you would like to see. Anyways, that aside, what else is there? And we won't go on for too much longer. I think this is the last one for this chunk, actually. Oh, yeah, second last one. Visual mode. So what if you want to like select rows of words, right? And let's say you want to yank specific parts, right? You can press the V key, right? And again, all these characters do something special. And you'll notice that we enter visual mode now. And I can press HAKL and start to highlight text. If I press Y, remember what Y was? It was yank, right? It's the copy, right? I can press Y now, and I can go, I guess, anywhere, and I can paste that. Right? There's my text. It's so good. Well, what if I wanted to select rows at a time? I can press Shift V, so capital V. And you see my cursor is in the middle there, right? But it's selecting the whole row at a time. It's so good. If I want to move like these 3 lines down, easy, so quick. If you're on VS Code, you'd have to select, Control X to cut, move it down, and then click again, and Control V. And all of those takes time and energy that you just don't have to do. The last one here is columns. Well, what if I just want to, like, let's say I'm working with an Excel spreadsheet or some stuff, Control V will get you columns. And you can delete columns at a time. You can move it down just like that. It's so cool, guys. Anyways, hopefully you guys are getting the gist of that. Here we go. That's yank, that's visual mode. If you want to reselect your last selection, just hit GV. Sorry, GV, bam. It's so good. If I'm all the way at the top of the file again, GV, right back there. Yeah. So to close up this tiny little section here, I want to show you guys this thing called Vim Be Good, and it's a great way to practice these fundamentals that we've been discussing. So I'm going to create a new terminal. I'm just going to open up Vim again. And this is a little plugin. If you guys want to figure out how to do it later, feel free to. I can chuck some instructions for you guys later. But it's a little game, right? And of course, to improve, we love little games. So I'm just going to demonstrate one of these games. And in a moment, if we have 3 volunteers, you guys can, in the 3-minute break, volunteer yourself up, and you guys can play with it on my keyboard here. So I'm going to select Nightmare, because I am a man of culture. And I'm going to do HJKL. And essentially what happens is, you use HJKL to move to the X, and you press X to delete it, right? Remember, X was the deleted character. Just moving up and around. 4, 5. You guys get the point, right? 6. And you're just using HJKL to move around for now. 9, 10. Great. So ours average about 1.6 seconds per event. And yeah, so that's a great way to practice. So if you guys would like to, we have 3-minute break. 3 people, if you guys want to come up, just put your hands up, hop on, and you guys can give it a try. But yeah, we'll be back in 3 minutes. You want to give it a try? Let's go.
Let's go.
All right.
Terrified.
HJKL is there.
Which one? Okay,
X
hold
is
on.
there.
HJKL.
Oh, you can just press it now if you want, just to familiarize.
So H, J. Okay, so H and L. Yep. Okay. J is down. J up. All right.
All right.
God, I can't wait to.
Careful, careful. You want your fingers. Sorry, you want your fingers on that. The index on that.
Oh, I want my index there.
You want your index there.
All
so
right.
H, you have to reach over, yeah.
Oh.
So hover over the replay.
It's like pro tips. All right.
And press DD twice. So delete the line. That will activate it. No
Okay,
pressure.
hold on. I'm terrified,
Just
man.
have some fun, man.
All right. H, J, K, L. All right.
Yep. DD twice. DD. There we go. And just press X to delete. Very nice. Oh, you're a legend, dude. What a natural.
No, wait, no, where's it going? Where's it going? Where's it going? All right, all right. There we are. Oh, no. Oh. What am I doing? No.
You missed it. 8 out of 10. Average 2.8. Not bad, dude. That's actually really good.
That's tough. That's tough.
So how about we give someone else a try?
Yeah,
if you want to
100%.
afterwards, we can team back up.
Oh my god. Oh.
Anyone else want to try? Yeah? It was so good, man. So there's HJKL.
Yep, and J.
Keep your index on the J. Keep your index on the J. Yep. That's good practice, yeah?
Okay.
And exit to delete. And just press D twice.
Everyone who's watching online is watching this face. Oh, good.
Because that's something true. I feel like that makes me get used to like the J being down.
Oh, 10 out of 10. Yay. Very nice, man. 2.8. One more person. Who wants to go? No? Yes? No? You don't have? Last one. HJKL. Keep your index there and press DD twice to start.
Which one's
To delete is X.
okay? Which one's which?
Yeah, just press it down. HJKL, just press it once.
Oh, okay.
Probably because you can keep it normally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you just normally?
I know.
You hit quit. Let me open that back up again.
Thank you.
I kind of
We'll go easy for you.
Yes.
HJKL. There we go. Good. It's a start.
like my
Oh, not bad, not bad.
Oh my gosh.
You're going up instead of down.
No.
Hey, nice. All right, guys. Hopefully, you've had a nice little break. We'll go into some more Vim theory. And again, the idea is that, I forgot to mention, but the idea is that hopefully by the end of this, you guys will understand what I did in that magic on the left side, yeah? With those macros, essentially. That will save me 1,000 years. So that's the idea. It's a bit more complex Vim. Whoops. And it's about the same length, really. But hopefully, again, all you guys have to do is just sit back and just try to absorb as much as you can, yeah? Great. So we need some more movement keys. W is great, B is great, HJKL is great. But if I want to go straight to the end of line, just press $. Go start, press 0. It's so good. Yeah, that's all it is. So go to the end, go to the start, end, start. Great. Next one. How do you enter insert mode? So if I want to go to the end and if I want to continue on, I have to press I. I can then type, right? Or if I want to go to the start, press 0 and then I. That's 2 letters. That's 1 letter too many. What if I press Shift I? Shift I will go to the front and enter insert mode immediately with 1 keystroke. Yeah. If I want to go to the end of the line and immediately enter insert mode, just capital A. Whoa, very, very nice. So yeah, again, these tiny little keystrokes, they save you 1 key press at a time, but they're so good. Little efficiencies, they build up. Well, what if now I want to open a new line above? So if I want to go a new line below, I have to go Shift A to enter insert mode and press enter, right? That's 1 press too many. Oh. Whoa. What about above the line? So if I'm on this line, capital O. Whoa. It's so good, right? So I just open a new line right there. It's so good. Rather than go to the end, press A, and then enter, just press O. So good. These small little things, guys. You guys don't understand how good this is. Okay, what about this one? Navigating to the start and the end of the file, right? If I press GG, it goes to the top of the line. So top of the file. If I press capital G, it goes straight to the end. If I press a number and then G, so for example, you see on the side here, I'm line 116. If I go to the top, 116, capital G, right back where I am. So good. So if you have an error message, right, and it's like blah, blah, blah on line 29, just go to your thing, 29G. You're right there. It's so good. And you can come straight back. It was great. Next one, horizontal movement. Well, once again, what if we have a very long line? So you can see this is all on one line, yeah, that's wrapped around. But I don't want to have to press B all the way. And if I go to the end of the file, I then have to go all the way back, right? Well, what if there's another way? I can search forwards until a specific character using T to go till a character and F to go to the character. So for example, let's say I want to go to this capital L right here. Yeah, instead of spamming W until I reach there, which took a good 2 seconds, I can search for L and just hit a couple times and I'm right there. So you see how every single match, right, is capital L. If I press semicolon and go to the next one, it's capital L, next one's capital L, am I right there? If I want to go back to this T here, for example, I go capital left, go backwards, capital left, go backwards, T. I just press semicolon a few times, and there's a lot of T's, but I get there, and there we go. So that's the F and the T. And if you guys remember, one of the shortcuts I used was capital F, comma, right? To go back to the last comma, capital F, comma. Yeah, that's one of the movements. Next, find. Well, what if we want to find in like the whole file, right? Let's say I have this thing called hailstones at the bottom here. I just type, actually, I'll just search for the word to, yeah, T-O. You press slash, not control F, just slash, just type T-O. And you search all of the entries. If I want to go to the next, I don't hit enter in this menu in VS Code. I just press N. N. If I want to go backwards, capital N. Just go backwards, capital N. It's so good. Oh my God. Anyways, hopefully you guys get the point. So that is find. The next one, here we get to the really good parts now, the foundations of Vim. How far are we going? 40 fast? Okay, I have to go a bit faster. Well, actually good pace so far. The foundations, the power of Vim. So we've seen the basic ones, HJKL, W, search, go to the start, go to the end, insert mode, visual mode. Now we can start chaining these together. And this is really where it gets interesting. We can form these complex operations by knowing the verbs, the modifiers, and the nouns. For example, a verb can be delete. A modifier can be inside, around, num, till, and find, so T and F. And don't worry, we'll cover these in just a moment. And nouns, we can describe words, sentences, paragraphs, tags. For example, if I want to delete 4 lines, right? I don't have to press DD twice, or DD twice, and then 4 times, right? That's too many keystrokes. I can do 4 DD. So that deleted the line 4 times. I prefix it with 4 DD. If I want to prefix it with 100 DD, it deletes 100 lines. It's so good, right? It's a modifier. What if I want to, you see this quotes here, right? What if I want to delete in the quotes? Well, traditionally you just go to enter and you just press X, right? To take it all out. Well then, what if I can, D is to delete, right? Delete inside of the quotes. So good. What if I want to enter insert mode immediately? Change in the quotes. And I'm in insert mode. This is so good. What if, in this serial begin, right? What if I just want to replace everything inside of it with something else? Change in brackets. It's so good, guys. What else is there? What if I want to delete all the stuff inside a div, right? Maybe you guys haven't seen this before. This is HTML. Delete in the tags. And you guys can imagine, right? If you have like a really, really massive thing and you just want, I don't want the whole chunk, change in tags, I can start again. It's so good. Just press U to undo. If I want to, what was this one about? I don't remember what this one. Oh, yeah. Sorry, this was the thing. Remember how I deleted this whole bit up until the next comma? What I did was I did from the last comma, change to CT the next comma. So good. Anyways, yeah. You can also do a number and then HJK. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to press my touchpad. Number and then HJK. If I want to go up 10 lines, I don't have to press K 10 times. I can press 10K, 10K. And you guys may have noticed on the left side, my numbering system is a bit funny, right? Maybe you guys have noticed. If I disable that, this is what it should be, right? Hard absolute line numbers. This is called relative line numbers. Essentially, this line here, the span, is 10 lines below. So I can eyeball it 10J. I'm right there. If I want to go up to this curly brace 15K, I go right up to that. And this is speed, guys. This is where you get really speedy. So you can also do num space this modifier here. Now we get to the really, really interesting part, the macros. This is like what the whole first part was all about. So essentially, with those keystrokes, and there were a lot of keystrokes, and there's still many more, I only covered like 50% of them, you can now start recording these keystrokes, and you can operate on many different things. So to start recording, you press Q followed by a character, which is a register. By default, I like to press Q. And you can see it starts to record towards the Q register. It's called a register. It's like a variable, right? We're storing keystrokes into the variable. And let's say I'm just going to stop that. To stop it, you just press Q again after you've done all these stuff, yeah? To play it back, you press the @ symbol and then underscore. So let's actually go back to one of these things here. Okay, this one's very easy. You guys will notice, right? So I'm going to start recording into my queue. I'm going to go down a line, delete the line, and save by pressing Q again. Yeah? Now, if I want to replay that, I press @Q, @Q, @Q. If I want to do that 5 times, guess what it is? 5 @Q. You guys see the magic now? At will replace or repeat the last macro. Let's go through this one again. Now that you guys know what's happening, yeah? I'm going to record a keystroke, Shift A to go straight into insert mode at the end of the line, yeah? At uni.sydney.edu.au, say exit the insert mode, go back to the front, go down a line, save. I have, and in fact, because it's relative line numbers, right? You see that's one entry, there's two entries. I have 18 entries, 18 at Q. Bam. Oh, need one more. You guys see how this is now coming together with all these really nice keystrokes? And this stuff you will not get in any other editor, because any other editor, you only have one mode, and that's insert mode. The letters are, they just type what they do, right? Unless you have control something, alt something, those are modifiers. But what if your keyboard itself just has 3 layers and to start with? So much better. Anyways, so that is, I think the end to this part. Oh, there's another part. Yeah, so that's macros essentially. And I was thinking, well, what if I actually do an example of me programming something? So I picked out a problem called hailstones, which is a common 1110, so introduction programming question. But I intentionally chose something I'm not familiar with, so you guys can see how I make my changes, how I make my edits when I make my mistakes, right? So this one here, if you guys don't know programming, that's fine. Just watch along and see how I move around the file essentially, right? And I love spamming JK. But anyways, that's beside. Start with a positive integer n. If n is even, divided by 2. If n is odd, multiplied by 3. Okay, easy. And we ask for a side number. Great. So let's just go num is equal to input. And of course, you never copy, right? So you never type it out, right? So I'm just going to yank that, go to the end, paste that in, bring that line up. And this 6 is being typed in. And this is, of course, I need to surround it with int, so it goes and just like that. Bam. So that's our first line done. Now, what are we doing? We're going to keep iterating until num is empty, but we need a list first. So list is equal to empty list, while num does not equal to 1, because this pattern here of applying this will eventually get down to 1 is the idea. But anyways, so what we're going to do, if num mod 2 is equal to 0, if it's an even number, num divide equals by 2. Divide equals, is that right? Divide equals? Yeah, it's just my font. Okay. And you guys can see, just then, I opened a new line by pressing O, and I just hit backspace, and I'm right there already. I didn't have to click, didn't have to use the arrow keys. My hand stayed on the keyboard. It's so good. Else if, actually, it's else, right? If it's not even, it has to be odd, right? So then it's num is equal to num times by 3 plus 1, yeah? Don't worry about the syntax too much. ls.append on the num. So I just want to add it on. And I need to start out with the num as well, yeah? And once we leave, then we just print the stuff. So I'm just going to print the comma space dot join ls. Save that. And I mapped it to space W to save, if you guys noticed. Space W will save immediately. I can open up a new site, and we'll discuss what this new window is in a bit. Where am I? Yeah, I'm in demos. Python 3, example 2, starting number 6. Expected string, int found. Yeah, because ls, these are a bunch of ints. I'm going to do some black magic. Lambda x, return back the string of x on this thing, close that, 6, there we go. And we're getting some hard floats, so let's just also int that as well. 6. Oh crap, it's still this. Anyway, so you guys get the point.
Couldn't you just change the num and else pen to string number?
I probably could, and you guys are probably right. I'm too tired, I didn't sleep much. But anyways, that's beyond the point. What's really important here is the speed, right? You can see that my fingers never slowed me down at all. It was only my mind slowing me down, right? And when you're using other editors, it's not going to be as fast, and you're going to stumble over your stuff. So this is why it's so good. But hopefully that gives you guys a bit of an insight into a bit more Vim stuff, right? So we'll have another quick 3-minute break. If you guys want to, you guys can try another Vim Be Good for another 3 people. Otherwise, we'll get back in 3 minutes. Cool. And I need some water as well. Oh, yeah? Yeah, let's go, man.
It just feels like a really steep curve. No, I'm doing. Easy.
Easy? All right. So HJKL, put your index there.
Yeah.
Just move around for a bit to, feel the cursor.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
All right. And now just move up to HJKL. So just press K a couple times to go up to HJKL. Yep. And just press DD twice. Oh, yeah, DD twice. And it's going to start in just a moment. It's a bug that doesn't start. But there we go. So move down to the X and just press X.
Okay, down to the X.
Yep. X to delete. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, is that it? Is that the game?
It's just to practice HJKL.
Okay. It's just 1 round?
No, there's 10 rounds.
10 rounds. Oh, okay,
10 rounds.
okay.
You're being timed, right?
Okay. Oh my god. Let's go.
Mm.
Oh, wait.
Oh shit.
Oh, no.
Don't press it too much.
Oh, wait. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I can't get there.
So when you go up, you have to go left. Up,
Oh, up and left.
up, down,
Wait, time me. Oh, good. No, time
down.
Oh my god.
Okay.
All right, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wait, there we go.
That's it, man.
Oh, wait. Oh, last one. Oh, wait.
Hey, very nice, man.
Is there like a ranking or something?
That's 5 seconds.
Oh, okay. That's pretty
What?
slow, right?
That's not, too,
Oh.
not too great, but not too bad either. Very nice, man. All right. Well, I guess we'll get back to it since no one else wants to give it a try. So for the rest of this, it's just like miscellaneous information now. Here's some tips before learning Vim yourself. Remap your caps lock to control, because caps lock, it takes a very important space, right? It's one movement away from your left pinky, right? That's very valuable real estate, all right? You don't want that to just be taking up the whole caps lock. So map it to control. That's what mine is, pretty much. I've pretty much never used the caps lock button. Your fingers will thank you for this. The next one, remap leader to space. So I didn't really cover leader, but if you guys are going on for your own and playing around with this, just remember that dot point, play around with it for yourself. Essentially what it is, it's the first leader key before you hit another key to do your own Vim binds. For example, space W was my save, right? That shortcut. Space is that leader key. And those are all user-defined shortcuts. So map that to space, it's so much better. By default, it's the backslash, which is all the way over there. Like you have to reach for it, it's really bad. Increase the key repeat rate. So have you guys probably seen, right? When I press and hold L, right? It goes by pretty fast. If I slow it down to what it was normally, right? I maxed it out as much as I could, right? If it's slow, right? Oh, that's just the delay, right? This one, I mean. If I bring this all the way down. Oh, I'll be here for 1,000 years, literally. So make it short, make the delay short, repeat. On Linux or Ubuntu, the max options are a bit too fast, so just be careful of that. But for Windows, I set them to max, and it's quite nice. And lastly, yeah, decrease the delay before it starts moving, which was the last one just then. And also, don't get banished from syncs. If you guys are tempted to use the arrow keys, just unbind them. If you just Google Vim unbind arrow keys, you'll find the config for that. Very easy. So one other thing, disclaimer with Vim. As you guys can see, my Vim looks quite nice, yeah? Traditionally, Vim looks like this. Sorry, it's just copying for a bit. Come on, you can do it. There we go. This is what Vim usually looks like. When I go down, it's not very nice, whereas where I go down here, it sort of scrolls, yeah? This one here is just hard downs. My search still works, though. I can still go around to all the ifs. I can still go up. I can still go 10 up, but it's not very nice. And essentially, if you guys really want to use Vim for like more stuff, I'd recommend some plugins. Okay, so here are just some plugins. You guys can search up yourself. Just Google them. Yeah, I won't say much more than that. Other niceties. Tmux. Vim and Tmux go together so well. And what is Tmux? Essentially, it's this green thing down the bottom here. What does it do for me? It gives me splits. It gives me another split. I can move around very nicely. Essentially, it's a multiplexer for terminals. It just has multiple terminals in one window. I can create more. You can see more at the bottom. I can rename them. Vim be good. And I can just have this open up as nvim. I can just be playing Vim be good here. I can go back to the first one. I can go right back to the fourth one. It's so good. I can even detach. So I detach, and I can do list sessions, tmux attach session t0, and I'll be back. Yeah? So it's really, really nice. So tmux, definitely would recommend if you guys are going to use Vim as well. The other thing is Z-shell. So Z-shell, that's what ZSH stands for, is a better shell. It works on all operating systems, so no excuse not to have it. And it has autocomplete and Git shortcuts. And as you can see, this is the hierarchy. Command prompt is the worst. Mac terminal is then not too bad. And Z-shell is like really, really good. And I'll show you guys why, yeah? So Z-shell is essentially this thing here. So you can see here, my terminal doesn't look the same, right, as most terminals do. If I do CMD, it looks like that. And this is so bad, don't use it. But anyways, if I do something like CD, right, you can see it recalls my last commands. And I can just go straight there and go straight back to here. CD, MNT, or if I touch something, or if I SSH to my home servers and stuff like that, it's very nice and easy. Yeah? So the other thing also is that if you guys know, who knows Git? Hands up, who knows Git? Oh, not many people. Okay. Essentially GS for status, GA to add it all, Git commit, everything just becomes so much quicker. GP to push, reset, I can do that immediate reset, Git status. And I just type it with like a few letters. It's so good. Rather than Git add dot Git commit. Who wants to type all that out? Anyways, that's the point, yeah? So that comes with Zed shell as well. Next, Vim in the browser. If I go to Google Chrome, let's say I go to like a random news site. I'm using Vimium like every day. I press D to go down my screen. F to go. I press, oops, sorry. And I press F to select things. If I want to click into this thing, I'm not going to move my mouse over to there. I'm going to scroll down, press F, and it says G, so I just hit G. And I go straight into it. If I want to select some text like the global stocks, search for global stocks, press V, global stocks. Why is it going down there? Press V, and I can select myself. I press Y, I can yank it. There it is in my clipboard. So good. So we're wrapping up soon. The caveats to Vim. Live debugging is hard, and live debugging is an important feature for a lot of applications, and it is a bit difficult. So what I do is, if I really have to live debug and I can't work my way around it using unit tests and something else, I would open up VS Code and just use the live debugger there. That's really the only reason why VS Code exists on my computer, just for that. It is possible to get live debugging working through Vim through plugins, but it's not as intuitive. It's not very nice. I haven't had too great an experience. The next point is that sometimes installing these Vim plugins and config on a new machine takes a bit longer. You have to clone, you have to have your config, you have to then install everything. Whereas VS Code just comes with one installer. You can copy paste one config and you're good to go. And the last thing is, there is a massive productivity drop at the start. And this diagram has come back. It's very real. So it'll take a lot of time to learn the basic shortcuts. It'll take a lot of time to learn the plugins. It'll take a lot of time to learn your new key maps. But, you know, once you see the light, once you come out the other side of the tunnel, you will emerge a new and woke coder. It's so good though. So yes. If you want some further study, check out Vim Tutor. On every machine that has Vim installed, so if you just type Vim, you can type Vim Tutor as well. And this tutor, it takes a bit of time to initialize. It's copying. Usually it doesn't take this long. This essentially teaches you how to use it. So there's lesson 1.1 HAKL, and this is what I base some of my contents on. This one is how to exit Vim. This one is how to delete characters. So this one here is really good to go through as well. It took me about maybe 2 days to go through. Like, of course, I didn't sit it through in one go. If I sat it through one go, maybe 1 hour or so, 2 hours, be good to try through that. You can read, look at the slides here because I went through things very quickly. Again, it's a very high-level talk, it's only for exposure. You can check out this guy's channel, the YouTube. He's the guy who really got me into Vim. And because Vim, the hurdle was so difficult if you don't have someone to mentor you or to guide you. And he started making YouTube videos just a year ago. That's where I picked it up. Vim Adventures, I heard good thing about this. In fact, let's open this one up. If I can, click. It's a really cute online game that teaches you how to use Vim. HJKL, you can move around, jump up the things. You go to people and they tell you little tricks about Vim. It's really cute. So if you guys want to, you can check that one out as well. And maybe possibly a V2, version 2 of Vim Talk, where I actually go into a bit more of the philosophy, a bit more of the information. We'll have to see about how much time I have, whether things will type me back or if there's space for that. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Yeah, thanks for coming. So I think there was 15 minutes of time dedicated to Q&A. I don't know if you guys have any questions. Are there any, by any chance? Anything? Yeah.
Hello?
What convinced you
Hello?
to be like, you'll be like happy using VS Code and then you suddenly were like, all right, I'm going to dedicate the over the top amount of time to learn Vim. What made you make the switch?
What made me make the switch? Yeah, so a couple of reasons. First of all, I knew Vim was really powerful. I'd seen examples of those macros, and it's like amazing. And all of the top programmers in both Optiva and Atlassian where I worked at, they use Vim. Even people who use VS Code, they have the Vim extension. So it's like Vim binds the HAKL, the insert, the visual mode, the yank, but in VS Code. So he still uses his mouse, but it's not the same. Don't do it if you can. But it's a good idea though, because the next reason why was because my wrist actually started hurting. Through 2 years ago, it started hurting. So what I did was I bought a split keyboard. It split out my hands out, and it's so much better. And secondly, I want to reduce that movement. So I was like, I doubled down into Vim. And to be honest, right, from when I started Vim until when I fully migrated to Vim, it took me about 9 months. And that's I blame that mostly because, not blame, I treat that mostly to the fact that I didn't have a mentor. Didn't have anyone to really check into. I didn't know about that YouTuber in the past, back then. So it was a very slow grind. But once I saw his thing, he had a very good setting up your config for the first time video. Once I got through that, and like the basic quality of life configurations are set, then it's much easier to get in. It's much easier to explore the world of him. But yeah, so I did the full jump during my Christmas holiday as well, when I didn't have to, grind out those essays and assignments for university. But yeah, it took me a long time, but it shouldn't take you guys too long. If you guys want to reach out to me afterwards, I can guide you guys along to like the next step in your journey or something if you want. Yeah, if you want to, I can totally do that. Any other questions? Can be about anything, what I study, what I do, why I do 3 majors. How's my experience at Optical Lighting? Yeah, what's up?
If you use all those plugins,
And then you try. Hello.
Yeah, just go for it.
Oh, okay, sure. If you use all those plugins and then you try to just go into like a basic Unix system where you can't really add those, is that harder? Like if you get too used to the plugins versus not using them?
Yeah, good question. So let me see if I can show you. Not that one. This is my Raspberry Pi at home. Please don't DDoS me. What I actually did was, right, I actually installed my Vim with all my plugins onto my Raspberry Pi. But if you're working on a remote system, let's say it's a company system, and let's say you just have Vim. Oh crap, my Vim is actually NVim now. I must have remote that over. Look, I'll just start a Vim to you. How about that? Here we go. A lot of the stuff that we covered, the basics, are all the same. So for example, moving down pages, Control D, searching for stuff too, deleting all this, controlling all that, yanking that, it's all the same. Yes, I guess the main difference to answer your question is the plugins really help for quality of life day-to-day use. But if you're working on remote systems and you want very quick edits, you just want to text edit, you don't need a telesense, you don't need a file tree. Yes, it's still very powerful. In fact, sorry.
That's okay. My question was more like, can you just transfer fine? Are you still okay, totally comfortable without the plugins if you're used to the plugins?
Yeah, totally. Because again, the plugins are sort of an extension of the base Vim philosophy, right? All those basic shortcuts, they're universal. So moving between the two, your HAK is all the same. So no, it's not a big difference jumping between these two separate configurations. It's very similar. They're built off the same thing. It's like driving a Toyota versus driving a Holden. Or maybe a Toyota versus like a 1940 something Beetle or something, right? It's the same car. You set pedal, it goes forward, that's it. It's the same, yeah. But of course, quality of life changes.
There's a few questions from online.
Oh, yes.
So have you tried the Vim plugin for VS Code? And
I have. Oh, sorry.
And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
Yes, sorry. I shouldn't have interrupted you. So the question, have I used the Vim extension plugin on VS Code and what do I think of it? I have used it and it was pretty difficult to use. For one, I couldn't figure out where to remap my shortcuts. For two, I still had to use my mouse. And that was the big thing for me, right? Because even if you're on VS Code, even if you're internal, in fact, I can probably install it right now. Vim, you just have search for Vim in the extension, you just hit install, right? And in fact, if you guys want to get into Vim, it's a really nice way to sort of get into it. Oh, it's already installed, easy. Let's open up any folder. Very nice. I'll just start spamming a bit, right? And just paste that a couple times. Very nice. Look, if I want to change files, I still have to move my mouse. If I want to open a terminal, I know there's a shortcut, but you have to do that. I think there's a Control-Shift-P, which is very nice. And you can do most of like save, and it tells you shortcuts. But it's not the same. The other reason why also is because I find a lot of my work is very tightly integrated with the terminal. And working with TMUX and having this still in the terminal as well, Vim is a program in the terminal. It's not a very big thing for you guys right now, but context switching, I realized just in the last year, is very important. So for example, when I do some work and then I get disturbed for like 1 second, like just to check a message, and I look and it's like, I dismissed it, that actually affects me for like 60 seconds, right? It throws you off. Every time I move away from the terminal to like something else, like from here to a terminal, from here to like a file, that context switch I found just in the last year has dropped my focus. So that's another reason why it's not quite the same, to me at least. Again, to you it may be fine, to other people it may be fine. maybe you guys are happy like reducing your mouse movement by like 75% already. But yeah, I just feel like it wasn't really for me. I feel like there was so much more power knowing, working with Vim internally. And also, I'll just show you guys very quickly. This is my Vim RC. Oops, sorry. My Vim RC is my configuration file. You can see my config has gotten really long. And a lot of this stuff you won't be able to interact with in VS Code as well. Yeah, so 317. I don't recommend you guys copy my configuration. Work out your configuration on your own, essentially. Is the best way to get into it.
Yep. Another question is, do you have any suggestions for auto-completion plugins?
Auto-completion plugins?
Yeah.
Do they mean IntelliSense? I guess they mean IntelliSense, right?
So.
For IntelliSense, the one that I use is this thing called, and I'm not going to say it out loud, I'm just going to read it out, COC. If I say it out properly, people get upset. It's called Code of Completion or something. Completion of code, anyways. But that's the one I personally use. I've tried the other ones like YCM, You Complete Me. I've tried another one, I forgot the name of it. This COC worked out well for me, essentially, because it works for a whole bunch of different languages. And if you want to see also, I've defined which ones I use. So I use ClangD, which is for C++, CMake files, CSS files, ESLint, Git, JSONs, Python, yeah. So this thing just had overall support over a lot of different languages. That's why I like this IntelliSense plugin. Yeah, cool. Was there any more? No.
Does anyone have any more questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a question. I know that you thank you. I know that you mentioned like how to get started, but just let's say I want to start using Vim tonight. What's the first step?
What's the first step? I guess first step, I would suggest Vim Tutor. Yeah. So bring this up, have my slides on the side, or have those two MD files, right? So where is it? These two tutorial part 1 and part 2 that we were working through, have them up. They're all on GitHub. The link is also in the end of the slides here, like right there. Just have that on the side and just, delete the spaces. Oh, also, I forgot to show you guys. I have this really nice plugin that just opens up Markdown files. And so this file and this file, they're the same. And I'm just going to kill this one, close that. And you can see as I type, it also edits it. It's so nice. Anyways, that's just a nice little plugin. Sorry, coming back to your question though. Yeah, so have this on the side, have it all nice and compact, delete this empty space that I had here, just so that I didn't clutter up too much of the space. And then just work through Vim Tutor for a bit. Play around with this, know the basic stuff, get comfortable with this. And then the next step after you complete this, I would suggest, go check this guy's channel out, find his video on how to set up your configuration for the first time. Where is it? Yeah, there you go, your first Vim RC. How to set up your Vim RC. I actually watched the original one. I don't really know what's changed in this one. It's 27 minutes, holy crap. But yeah, and from there, you can start exploring different plugins. And one other thing I forgot to mention. Did I mention it somewhere? Tips? I didn't mention it. Always try to search for an easy way to do things. For example, I don't know. How do I open up the file explorer? I just go space PV. How do I delete something very quickly? MD. Y, and I don't want to delete it, but that will delete it, right? And these small little things you learn by Googling a lot, because again, I only gave you like less than 50% of all the strokes here for the default keyboard settings. In fact, if we come back to this, right? Where is it? All the way back to the top, this thing here, right? There's still so many more to go. So whenever you find something annoying, just Google up how can I do this easier? And step by step, you will learn more and more and more. In fact, I've never really used a cheat sheet like this, but I guess going through, I know these, I know that, 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 I know that. I actually don't know this one, sorry. I know this one, I know this, I know this, I know this. So I know about 80% of these, having never seen this before, just from Googling and trying and playing around. Yeah, does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
One more question.
Yeah?
Do you feel like you've reached like full mastery?
No, no, I am nowhere near full mastery. I feel like, there's always the next plugin out there. In fact, the smooth scrolling thing? I only found this from a friend who I was Zooming with yesterday to prepare for these slides. She was like, oh, you should get the smooth scrolling. I'm like, smooth scrolling? So, it's so good. I just look at that. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, no, so there's still so much stuff out there. I just don't have the time to dedicate too much time to learning this because, of course, I'm still studying. I still have to do all my study. And really, It's a lifelong journey, as cliche as that may sound.
Okay.
So, of course, once you sort of get to like the level of comfortable using macros and comfortable working with files and stuff, you're sort of like you're definitely past the curve, right, of this thing. So I'd say I'm about maybe about here now. So this is like difficulty in learning, or getting to more productivity. So increasing productivity from now on, for me at least, is just looking at the plugins, learning the next new keystroke that I didn't know about, and it's very easy to improve from there. If I find something that's wrong with my workflow, if I find myself typing too many keystrokes, I'm not happy with it, just Google it. 2 seconds, I get an answer. But yeah, for you guys, this is going to be painful to climb. I know, because I went through that myself.
Sweet, thank you.
Cool.
Any other questions? Okay, I guess not.
What's up?
I think it would be easy to start for universal systems versus like just starting off with JS code and then moving into them.
Yeah, I can repeat the question for you. So the question was, do I think it's easier to jump straight into Vim, or is it better to start with VS Code or something similar and then transition later? That depends, I guess. Depends on your time, depends on where you're at. I'd say if you're a student who's just starting to learn to program, and it's semester 1 and it's week 5 currently, week 6, I would strongly advise not jumping straight into Vim. Still have VS Code. Maybe you can install the plugin, get comfortable with the shortcuts and the keystrokes, but no, it would be too much of a productivity hit. It's like changing keyboard layouts. Just imagine, like, yeah, it's a very big productivity drop. Yeah, so I wouldn't quite recommend that. But play with it on the side. Think about it in your sleep. Yeah, and you'll get there. When you feel comfortable, you'll make the transition. I was a really big VS Code fanboy for a long time, until my hands started hurting. So yeah, there's always a time where you'll know the time is right. Cool. All right.
Sorry, I've got one more question. Victor, have you thought about making a YouTube channel?
Have I thought about making a YouTube channel? To be honest, right? I'm not that smart. Maybe my presentation style is great, but honestly, I don't think I have the knack for making good YouTube videos. Maybe once in a while, like these kinds of talks are nice. But as like a routine, regular schedule, outputting videos, maybe not quite, but maybe I'll think about it.
Okay, yes.
I'll think about it.
Sweet. All right.
Cool.
Are we good? Any more questions? All right, sweet.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right,
I think,
thanks, guys.
yeah.